I think that in my mind, there's a lot of really small, really simple things that can be done to help comics, to make the business bigger, to grow the industry, all good stuff. The challenge is, it seems like even that tiny step, people seem either unwilling to take or just it's just too much. It's more than they can do. Why is that? Why is that bar so low and yet we still can't go over it? Hey everybody, this is Perch. This is I admit part of the thinking of this video is I often I'm driving around. I'm driving now, that's why the audio is crappier than at other times. And I get these ideas in my head, and I do a video about it. I don't do a lot of research. Imagine how amazing this channel would be if I did research. It'd be incredible. But what I often observe things, I notice things, and then it becomes a video. So as I often do, because I'm obsessed, I'm thinking about the comic industry. I'm thinking about ways to help it, ways to grow it, ways to, transform, to disrupt. I use the word disrupt more and more lately in my thinking because I think that's what comics desperately needs. It doesn't need just change. It doesn't need, mild improvement. It needs active disruption. And then I'm going to the grocery store, picking up the groceries, which today in the time of COVID is a whole adventure of the psychology that you watch. I mean, man, I if I could, I would just don the protective hazmat suit and just sit in one of these places and just watch people all day, because there is just fascinating little stories that play out. I think anyone, by the way, who's an aspiring script writer or wants to, push a new show on Hollywood, or I don't think this makes a good comic, but it would make a good TV show or series, is right now just go observe how people are dealing with this. They're losing their minds in very fascinating ways that just would translate to an amazing set of shows. But be that as it may, so this grocery store has, if you don't have it, they have this thing where each aisle has a one way. Like you're supposed to go down one way and then the other way. And then we go to the checkout stand. You've got like little squares with the 6 feet distance, and they have the bit where you're not supposed to unload the cart until the person in front of you has already paid, and then you start unloading. So there's a whole process there. And to watch, highly educated. I mean, the supermarket I'm in is, I would say, in the backyard of a ton of people who work for Microsoft. I would say the wealth ratio in this area is super high. I mean, just there, people have good, I would say on average, the household income's probably around 450 to 500, probably in this area. I mean, it's high. And yet these people, highly educated, tech people, they cannot figure out any of this stuff. People are wandering down the wrong aisles, and it's not that they're rebels. They're not going, I don't care. They're just they can't figure. Like, I watch people like get 4 or 5 steps down the aisle and then realize they're going the wrong way, and then now they're like, oh, and then now you see their kind of their brain working. Should I back up and reverse and go back? I don't know what to do. And then the unloading of the cart is like completely screws people up. They're like, so I'm supposed to unload after this happens, and then do I need permission from the cashier to? It's just like, God, this is why the virus is so bad, because like nobody knows what they're doing. And I suspect, by the way, that despite what the media tells you, they show, like, oh, it's bad everywhere in the rural areas, the Midwest, it's bad there too. Yeah, but it's that okay, but it's actually just bad on the it's bad lots of places. I'm not saying that, but the big numbers, the craziness is happening on the coast. It's happening in the big cities. You don't see people in Cody, Wyoming, struggling to figure out the up and down aisle thing. I maybe you could say that audience is more compliant. They understand rules better. I have no idea, but regardless, like, it's not an equal opportunity problem people are facing. That is a long analogy, but it goes to comics. With comics, it's like there are so many tiny things that could be done better, but it's like there's either active resistance of people who are just too frightened to actually change, or it's like maybe because it's so simple, like they can't do it. And so marketing is a classic example. How hard would it be to write solicitations that don't look like they were, created by a madman who was drunk at 2 a.m. who didn't really know what the comic has in it? How hard would it be to promote a comic you spent a lot of money on issue 2 and 3? rather than just like you get the J.J. Abrams Spider-Man #1, you put a bunch of money into it, and then it didn't need a issue 2, 3, 4. I mean, there's no reason why that comic should keep going. Like Marvel doesn't care that it exists at this point, so why bother? But just like, I mean, in many cases, some of these jobs of just marketing, writing better solicitation text, putting effort into the second issue and the third issue. This is stuff that interns would do. This is stuff that there's a lot of people out there who would do for free if you sent them a free copy of the comic when it came out. I mean, that's the crazy part. There's comic fans are a weird bunch where if you said, "Hey, would you write this one paragraph once a month for the comic, and in return I'll send you a copy of the comic?" They'd be like, I'll do it for all the comics for that. Like literally, like you'd be shocked. I mean, the amount of effort that goes in from people doing videos to roast comics or not roast comics or comment on comics, whatever else, is like 1,000 times the amount of the actual marketing department at the publisher themselves. Like, I mean, I don't know if anybody at the publisher has figured this out yet, but I mean, take Border Town. Okay, his little Vertigo comic. Eric Esquivel, the goofball who was up to shenanigans in the comic shop. Just that's way too nice a word for what he was actually up to. But anyway, that comic got infinite more airtime on YouTube with people talking about it, commenting on the author's tweet, whatever. It got so much more promotion from people who hated the book than the publisher Vertigo themselves. I mean, at some point, if I'm an executive of one of these companies, I have to say, you had like, to the marketing guys, you had one job. Like, what are you doing? Like, it's how hard is it to say Superman is up to some adventures? This time it's Brainiac. How come on? How hard is it? Comics cannot get out of their own way most of the time. It just is baffling to me. They cannot just put out. I mean, to me, it is like all you have to do is go up the food aisle the one way, and if you mess up, okay, look better next time. But don't make a big deal. They'll like stop and then make a big deal looking around, trying to figure out what to do, and kind of march halfway back the other direction and cause a crowd, and then change your mind because you really want that can of beans. And so, I mean, what are you doing? I mean, to me, nothing kind of summarizes the big comic publishers and the people. Now, I'm not talking about the creators in this case. I'm not talking about the writers, the artists, the people who are commissioned out of the book. I'm talking about the people who are in theory paying for that work, curating it, collecting it, getting it out into market. It's like, I mean, including a lot of these OGNs, new comics, new audiences, other things are going after. There are parent groups. As I've said in other videos, I went and kind of checked my math. Made the suggestion at one point that if you're making a little independent comic, don't go to the comic channels, don't go to those groups. Go to parent groups, especially now with kids not able to go to school or whatever. Parents are struggling to get things to read. Go make buddies with some of those like moms groups. There's a Moms of Disney group, and they are creating complete syllabuses and curriculum for school. And I'm watching people go into this group. You search for it. It's like WDW Moms. And there's people going there going, hey, I wrote a book, and it's about a little girl who wants to plant flowers, and I think it's pretty cool. You'll like it. I'll send you a copy to the moderator if you'd like to recommend it. It's here. And I'm watching like people promote that stuff like crazy. So again, Marvel, DC, you're doing these YA attempts. Like, where are you in all that? There's this guy who's I see all over the message boards, and he has a series of books about a girl who she can talk to animals kind of, and they become her friends. So like one book she's friends with a dolphin, the next book she's friends with a turtle, and then she just kind of goes around the country as like a I haven't read these books, so I don't know. Is a it's a hobo or a nomad, or I don't know what she, or maybe her family is just rich and travels all over the place. I don't know what's going on, but but my daughter's like, I've got to read this. The girl talks to animals. It's like, damn, Dad, this girl talks. She's legit. She talks to animals. We got to get these books. But this guy is like, I go to different message boards, different groups, different places, looking for kind of how to market, where to put these channels, where to get things going. And he's in all of them. Like the guy's like everywhere. And I go to his website. He's got this crappy old website up, and it's just a guy who lives in Nebraska. And it's like, how are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing, Big Two? Come on. I don't know. It baffles me. So I really think, I do think all the time, I want the comic industry to grow. I want it to get bigger. I think it can get bigger. I think there's an amazing amounts of opportunity everywhere. And yet, they can't get the solicitations right. I don't know. I don't get it. Anyway, what do you think? What is this? Is it just me, or is it like, it seems abnormally stupid? That's all I'm saying. Hey, what do you think? Leave a comment below. Am I crazy? Maybe I've lost it here. That's quite possible. Leave a comment below. Hey, like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications. So inclined to follow me on social media or send me an email. All those things. Most importantly, though, thanks for listening.